Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to the Pretty Rich Teacher podcast. I am so excited to chat with you all today. As you all can see, we have a full panel. This is the very first time I've ever done this. I didn't even know that I could have a group podcast, but here we are. Okay. This is going to be the most enlightening conversation you have probably heard this week, this year. These are all transition teachers who are living pretty, living rich on the other side of the classroom. So, we're going to have a conversation. Actually, Lauren is the one who gave me a good idea of doing this. And I was like, yeah, we absolutely need to do this. So clap it up for Lauren for even giving this idea. We're doing it. I gave her an idea. We will talk about that later, but she's going to do the idea that I gave her later too. But yeah, so if y'all are listening, these are again transition teachers, and these are teachers who are working in sales and customer success. We have more sales leading people. However, everybody on this call has sold themselves in a great way in their interviews to get paid the money they're making right now and living their life. So, without further ado, I am going to go around and just have everyone introduce themselves. I'm going to go Lauren, Jazmyne, Kayla, Tierra, Angelica, Tammy. So remember the person in front of you. And I want you to just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit of like background, like your teacher, whatever you want to say about your teacher life, and then what you are doing now. And then after we'll go back and talk about how you got to where you are. So let's start with Lauren.
Yeah, so hi everybody. I am Lauren. I started off as a seventh grade English teacher and then I was promoted to lead teacher. And I spent about 7 years in education. My education experience is way different than the experience I'm having now on the other side. I currently work for an SEL company as a business development representative. So, really on the front line with like bringing in new business. And I love what I do. And I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Jasmine.
Hey, so my name is Jasmine. I was in education for 8 years. I did everything from second grade, fourth grade. I was a lead teacher, served on our leadership team, all the things. I really do love it, did love it. I miss it, but I am now an account executive for a digital technology and core curriculum company, and I absolutely love it. I love what we do. I get to work with a lot of other former educators, so 90%. So it's really fun. It honestly is. And I get to actually be consulting with schools and districts every day and helping them choose the right curriculum. So I really
Oh,
enjoy it. I'm loving it. So it's great to be here. I'm excited to be here with everybody else too and learn from these ladies.
Yes. Kayla.
Hello, hello. I'm Kayla. I also was in education for the past 10 years. I worked in various schools, and I've taught kindergarten through fourth grade. Also was a middle school and high school tennis coach. Um, and then I became an instructional coach. Um, but I knew that wasn't it. And I just transitioned in the last couple months into my full-time school partnerships role. So it's sales and customer success for an EdTech company. And I love that I'm still in education, but similar to what they said, more of a consulting liaison where you have the relationships with teachers and administrators, but you're not in the classroom. So it's been going really well, and I'm so happy to be here and be part of this community.
Yay. Woohoo. Tier.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tier. I was in the education space. Well, I'm still in the education space, but more brick and mortar for a total of 10 and a half, 11 years. And I did everything in the school building, K through 8. You name it, I did it. My most recent role was that of an assistant principal. And I transitioned about a year and a half ago. And I'm an account executive, and I work a lot in helping school districts learn. Yes, consult, go through, help them choose curriculum, but also keep them abreast of legislation funds that are available and partner with them to help get them some funding. So it's been really nice to have a larger impact and support kids in a way that looks a little different than what everyone might think it looks like.
Mm. Angelica, she's probably the babyest one here.
Hey guys, my name is Angelica. So I've been in education for 4 years, and I just recently transitioned into a new role of SDR. So that means sales development representative. It's my second month, so I am new, but I'm still making a huge impact in education. I was working with the little ones all the way up to third, fourth grade. So definitely, I miss it too, but I am bringing in new business and helping other, schools get to know our company. And it is a math company. So I'm kind of like still doing what I used to do which is a math educator. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
Yay. Tammy.
Well, hello, I'm Tammy, and if Angelica was the baby, I think I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum. I was a junior high band director, 6 through 8, for 15 years. And actually, I left the classroom in 2021 and moved into technology for the school district. And then most recently, I've worked as an instructional designer at a university. But now I'm in my new role outside of the educational institution, still in education, but not within those walls. And I am a customer success manager for a music education technology company. So it's definitely been coming back home and merging all my passions.
Hey. All right. So, for all the teachers listening, we had a mixture of everybody. Okay. So, I hope that you were able to just listen and see, oh, wow, they taught the littles, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, AP, teachers, SPED, etc. All of these people are teachers and they are out of the classroom in EdTech making money. Now, most of the people on here are sales. I know a lot of people have questions about sales, but all the sales girlies, they all said they love their job. So I'm gonna just riff here. And if anything, I'm gonna just like raise your hand if you want to speak about it of like why sales? Because sales is, I feel, the most slept on career when it comes to teachers and women. I'm sure you all know and see within your companies, whether your customer success or sales, that most of the sales team are men. And I'm also sure you see that whenever you look and see what they're doing, you probably have a better way of doing it. Just saying that. But yeah, most people are afraid of sales, but like sales is where it's at. Anybody wanna come off and start first of like why you want to do sales and what your thought process was? And you're like, okay, yeah, I don't know, but hey, I actually like, really, really like it here for the teachers who are like on the fence. So this sales again is for the person who they are, I would say they are driven. They like a little competition. And they ask good questions. They're people. That's what I would think. But anyone who wants to go first, don't all volunteer at once. Okay, oh, I didn't even know you could raise your hand. Look at the teachers. I love the teachers. Lauren, go ahead and speak, girl.
Yeah, so what I will say is sales is not what you think it is, especially in ed tech. Like, really, you're just talking to people just like you, teachers, principals, counselors, and you're really just helping them like come to a buying decision. And when I was picking between sales and customer success, I was looking at like the core skills that go with each role. And with sales, a big part of it is problem solving. And I know that's a really like strength of mine. So that led me more towards sales. And something that scared me about sales was like I don't want to be talking to all these different people every day because when I was an educator, I actually thought I was an introvert. But now that I'm out of education, I'm noticing that I'm not an introvert, an
Probably just
extrovert.
overstimulated.
Yeah, I was just overstimulated and kind of drained at the end of the day. So a lot of the worries that you may have about sales are not going to be the real day-to-day things that you're doing.
Kayla.
I just want to echo what Lauren said because I also had this negative impression of what sales was when I was choosing which track to do in the in the course. And I always thought of sales as like, you need to be pushy or um, like hunting people down like a shark and like buy this, and that's really not what it is. You have to be yourself, and that's something Jazmyne actually taught me, where it's just talking to people and listening and having a conversation, and it's relationship building, which is what we do every single day in the classroom and in the school with 100+ people. That's something that we've been doing no matter how long you've been a teacher. So you really are already a salesperson and you don't even know it because you have to sell things to kids. You have to sell sitting down and listening to them, and then you have to sell things to parents. So everybody is a salesperson. It's just a matter of you wanting to serve schools and help. So it's, I think it's like a solution you're trying to provide, and it is being a problem solver, but it's just talking to people. And I think when you told that to me, I was like, yeah, wait, why am I making this something it's not?
Yep, yep, that's normal. And for everyone listening, so I think I mentioned this, but everyone in here are graduates of the program. They were given the choice of customer success or sales. So those are two careers that I've done for over 4 years. And I basically have taken that career and I dumped it in 2 videos and I have them build out assets of what each career does. And whenever they're on the teetering line of which one do I want to do, I'm just really making it relatable to the other people, and then they make their choice of what they want to do. I'm going to go into a different question, but people are still going to be able to talk. So when it comes to, all right, now I know that sales is, and Jazmyne, you're actually going to answer this because it's actually what I want you to talk about. So great. So after they're sold on, okay, so I can talk to school districts. I'm a consultant. I'm a problem solver. I can do that. Can you talk about what it's like to sell? And Tammy, I want you to go after also. I'm just volunteering. And actually, this is perfect for the ones who didn't talk yet. Of what it was like to sell your skills to get in the role. So any other thing that you want to share about what you were going to say first, but let's talk about like maybe the teacher interview process versus like what you had to do to get your job offer type of thing. Want to riff on that?
Oh, yeah, I can. The only thing I was gonna say about the choosing between the 2 tracks, I will never forget Jazmyne because I was back and forth. I don't know about Lauren, I don't know about Kayla, but I was really it was weeks of talking in WhatsApp, like, "I just don't know," 10-minute long voice notes of me going back and forth. I'm not kidding. It was a lot. Until finally Jazmyne was like, "Okay, it's as simple as this. Do you wanna help somebody along with the solution and be there to kind of nurture the whole time as they're using the product, or do you just wanna get them to say yes, and then get them to say yes again?" And I was like, "Oh,
First
oh,
yes,
yeah,
like the
yeah,
first
but
yes, yes over and over.
yes," and I was like, "That's easy. Okay, picked. Okay, got it." So that sold it for me, and I love it. I will say the interview process, when you asked me that question, the first thing I could think of was confidence, and I don't think I did not realize how much I should love my own personality. Like, I know I have one kinda thing, but I think it was very interesting in that process of just seeing me come out of my own shell and just lean on my personality. And 'cause I remember you would tell me back in my videos, like, "You understand the knowledge. I need to see Jazmyne. I need to
Mm,
see show up in the interviews." And so once I finally tapped into that part, it was game over, and I quickly landed a job offer after that. And
yeah.
I can remember that switch and that difference.
That moment where you're like, "Oh, okay, like
Yep, after the
let me
breakdown, yep, that's happened. I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna let this go. Just be me." But you have to have that moment, and I know anybody listening knows what I'm talking about. You have that moment, climb that.
everybody had a I'm looking at this, everybody on this call had a moment. I remember everybody's moment, every single body's moment. And I'm not gonna put their business, but everyone had a moment where it's like, "Ah," like just a little, like they just had. I just said they had a moment, every single one of them. But like I tell everybody, I'm like, oh, you just had your breakthrough, you had your moment. Now you're about to get a job. Like this is a part of the process because what's happening is you really are leaving. I don't want to say leaving, but you are becoming a new version of yourself. Like a new version of yourself is emerging for this. So it's going to require different thought. You're going to have to be willing to feel the different feelings that comes with this process. But pressure makes diamonds and y'all are sparkling. So I want Tammy to go next. Tammy, when I tell y'all Tammy was selling her skills, she when I she was selling her skills, I was like, you know what, Tammy? Yeah, I told her directly, I'm like, "You're about to be a VP of customer success." So even though you're customer success, you were selling. So talk about your process and everything you've learned about what it's like to sell your skills to get this job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like even in my customer success role, like I'm always selling. Because like I may not be getting the first yes, but I have to keep getting the renewal yes every year. And I think that's what kind of drew me to it because as a band director, at the end of every year, we had to kind of get them to say yes again and to come back for another
Mhm.
year. So for me, the relationships, the long-term relationships, that's why I went to customer success, which I know is not the question that you asked me, but I wanted to answer that.
No, I like it. I'm glad you said that because people are so just how y'all are like, "Oh, I just want the first yes." Customer success is a different type of breed because you do have to say yes over and over again. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. Um, so like how I sold myself in the interview, by the way, you were talking about like our moments that morning. I had my coaching call with you. And I think literally like 4 hours later, I got an email about an interview for the job that I end up having now. So yeah, it comes right afterwards.
Like,
um, but
I was
yeah, selling,
and I'm not here. I was like, about to get I said, "You about to get 3 interviews."
I did. And then an offer, three on that one
Yeah.
job. So, as far as selling myself, like I knew I was going into music education company, but I didn't want to rely on that because I knew that there were probably more people like me that were like, "Oh, as a music educator, let me, I should be here." And so, like, I really did not lean on that hardly at all. I really leaned on my experience, like from my certification and the things that I knew. So when they were asking me questions about retaining customers and onboarding, all of that I pulled from the portfolio that I had to create as part of I got to create, should I say, as part of the certification. Because I found with like every interview, I would go and update that and kind of study that to where it really did become a part of like my knowledge base and how I operated then and like how I continue to operate today. So I was really selling my skills based on that. And then even other things that I've done, like I've done some marketing certifications and I was noticing jobs were asking for like, I think maybe Salesforce or HubSpot. And I'm like, okay, well, I got a few hours on a Saturday. I'm going to go spend a little time doing this. Okay, boom, upskilled. Let me put it on my resume now. So
Yeah.
I was really selling the things that were not the industry. And I think that's what really stood out to them, like the marketing and the relationships and the customer success side.
Yes. Angelica. Angelica
Yeah.
had the confidence piece where it was breaking through. I remember telling Angelica, so I remember she had a lot of interviews, and I was like, "Angelica, stop getting these interviews and go get a job offer." And then she just got one. So talk about that moment because you had been going through the motions, and then you were like, "Okay, light bulb. I know what I actually need to do."
Yeah, I feel like it was I'm a very big like I'd like to do everything. Like I was going through the curriculum, everything that Jazmyne was telling me to do, I was doing it, check, check, check. And then there was a time where it came down to the interview process and it was like you have to switch your identity of being a teacher to the actual role that you're applying to. So it was a lot of really understanding what the role is and just like really shifting to the interview and having that conversation to the interviewers and how you're going to be that person. And it was a big change when it came to interviewing because I was just like, yeah, I'm no longer a teacher and I have to really talk like I'm in this position. And yeah, it was a big shift. I took Jasmine's feedback and I consistently put it in, but it was just like I had to pull up and have that confidence. So it was definitely a switch.
You did it. You did it. Okay, let's talk about the day to day. Because a lot of people are like, okay, what is your days like? And I want Tierra to start. Because Tierra, I didn't even realize it was a year and a half. Because Tierra like worked with me like less than 24. So a year and a half of being in this role. So like, you're the veteran here in this room of being in sales. Because you even came into the sales workshop. So I want y'all to know, listening. Number one, this is a community. Like these girls are always sharing knowledge and always still like showing up for all the girls. Tierra leading the way. She's also my soror, just by the way, if y'all be listening, as an AKA, if y'all didn't know. But go ahead, Tierra, tell us about what like the day to day and what life like is like in your new role. Like, what's your day to day look like? And then y'all can answer after if y'all want to go. Like, what does it look like on the day to day in your new job?
So my day to day essentially looks kind of similar to teaching during the pandemic. I know a lot of teachers, when the pandemic first hit, everyone loved it because it was balance. And now my life is balanced. I wake up, I'm able to have some type of morning routine, and I get to set the pace of my day. I get to set the pace, and I kind of operate like in quarters and then months and then weeks. And it's not so much like day to day. So you're able to plan out things at the end of the quarter for the next quarter, at the end of the month for the next month, at the end of the week for the next week. So you're able to say, all right, I need to time block these components of my day. I have an appointment in the middle of my day. Let me block my calendar. Oh, you only have this doctor's appointment at this time. Okay, I could buff it out. Um, and those are just some things that I truly needed for myself during my transition. And even now, it's like I've had to learn how to not be in a school building. I had
Mm.
to learn how to make my own schedule. I had to learn how to be a new student as an adult. So time blocking is like the biggest thing for me. It's very important. I'm a 30 something, so I have to have movement. So that movement looks like going to the gym, going for a walk, having a walking pad, having a standing desk, like just finding these little quirks to really gamify your life to a certain extent, but also fueling yourself in ways that make sense as well. Because I also do travel a lot for work, and last year was my first year in this role, and I was gone. Realized that's not the best strategy for long term success, and
Yes.
because there are a number, it's a male dominated role. But there are other things that as women we have to consider. So it's just living through those things and learning, okay, when I'm on the road, if I have a conference, I might have a 12-hour day. But that 12-hour day, I have to make sure that I rest in another way because my body needs it. I
Uh-huh.
struggled and I got sick my first year because I was just ripping and running like I was a
Mhm.
teacher. And it was
Mhm.
like, can't rip and run when you're on planes
Mm.
in different environments. So it was a big learning curve, but one that I've like found some balance and have some new structures and systems to really help my day to day and quality of life.
Yeah. I want y'all to know, and Jobs, you're gonna go next. Burnout is not unique to just the classroom. Teachers are known for having, and ask me how I know. It's called a feast to famine cycle. It's like all or nothing. It's like, no, we have to find the balance. Like, I remember telling every single one of these girls, do not go into these jobs and do everything. I was like, whatever you normally do 50%. Do 50% less. Because the thing is with teachers, we are already coming in and seeing gaps right away and knowing how to fix things quickly. Allow ourselves to rest into it. So, Jasmine, you want to speak a little bit about your mindset? Because one thing about Jasmine, she gonna find another problem. She was and just go ahead, unmute yourself and just share. Go
Ah,
ahead.
I swear, like you just spoke to everything about what I'm trying to like grasp right now in my role. Because as much I do love it. I do love it. I love what I'm doing. I love the company I'm working for. And like we have that flexibility, but we have to create it. We're so stuck in that honestly trauma a little bit
Well,
from
it's
the
trauma.
trauma. I want to say it, but I know that was
It
too
is
much.
trauma. It is trauma. I compared teaching to leaving an abusive relationship.
Yeah, you get so used to, I mean, literally minute to minute. I remember I was never sitting at my desk, and even at lunch, it was 20 minutes. And that's an over 8 hour day plus. And so you have that flexibility and there's always something to do. So it's easy to continue that same type of work, but you don't have to. Like you have to kind of force, yes, I'm going to take my morning and I'm going to block 2 hours to go to the doctor. And it's okay. Even my boss said it's okay. Like I
Mhm,
can do that. I can take PTO this day and no one's going to question it. And I don't have to do anything, leave anything for anybody to cover something. So
mhm.
it's there, and we just have to remind ourselves as former educators, you are allowed that flexibility and that balance, but you do have to create it yourself. And so the
Yeah.
time blocking is I'm trying to do that better more and more, and it's definitely helping. So I feel that balance. And I'm also, even without it, to be honest, I'm not tired at the end of the day. 5 o'clock
Mhm.
hits, I can clock out, and I still got, even if I worked all day long, I still do not feel the exhaustion I used to feel.
Raise your hand if you missed the classroom. Nobody raised their hands. I just want I
Slow
just
morning.
wanted to say and we're gonna get into, like, the middle part of how we got here. It's like biggest mindset shifts of doing this program because I feel like a lot of educators want what you're describing. They want to like every educator I talk to when I get on my call, I just want to wake up and have slow mornings. I want to go to the gym when I want. I want to go to use the bathroom whenever I want. I remember my very first day talking to my manager. I was like, "Do I have to let you know when I go to the bathroom?" And she's like, "You are an adult." And I was just like, "Oh, I didn't know because it really was trauma." Like how Jazmyne minute to minute, how they want us bell to bell with it. Like they also want us bell to bell with everything. So like one of the biggest things that I really enforce, like you really have to like put your life first. And like when you have gray space, you don't need to be sitting there doing anything. Even all of them, I had to say, do not start working until the start date. Like this is not teaching is the only career they expect you to work all year long and not get paid for it. So that's one thing. I forgot what the second thing is. My HD came, but I call my ADHD my HD. But what I want to be able to ask right now is what are some things that you know now from the program that you have learned? So maybe it was something that you learned about. I remember now. Everybody wants to get out the classroom. But what I tell people is like, you have to love the work required to get out. So it's already going to be an emotional piece of, especially if your identity has been tied to teaching all your life. Like all I know is teaching. All my degrees are in teaching. It's all I know. I'm scared. Even if I don't leave, at least I know what it's like. Like I feel comfort there. So there's the emotional piece. And then there's a strategy. So like you can want to get out the classroom so bad, which a lot of people do, but like you also have to love the work required. I love and Kayla, while you're here right now,
Sorry about that.
that's okay. I knew you were gonna come back. Tell us about and Kayla is unique. So Kayla came in with interviews coming in and she came in hot. She was like, I have an interview, I gotta do this. And I said, okay, we go do this, this, this. Talk about your journey and like the work required, what you were doing before. And everyone started thinking about like your biggest aha that you feel like teachers don't know about like, okay, I wanna leave, but, like, what is actually required to
Mhm.
leave in a way that they can understand what it is, but don't scare well, they can be scared, it's okay. You scare money, don't make money. So, go ahead,
I think
share
you
your
like I mean, at first, it's like, when you're in the position, like Jazmyne talked about, your energy is drained and you're like, this can't be it. We're all young women here. And it's like, I don't need to keep doing something that doesn't fulfill me anymore. But I think a lot of people experience guilt with that because teaching is serving and you're making a difference in the lives of kids, but you can do that in another way. And there's nothing to feel guilty about when you're taking care of yourself and putting your happiness first. So I think that's a major part of it. I had the benefit of already having left teaching because I was working overseas. So I moved back to New York last summer and I just knew I could get a teaching job in a minute. I was offered several positions. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. I just have to believe it. And then I found the course, which was amazing because I really needed to focus in one direction or area. And I didn't know about sales or customer success, but I've used so many EdTech platforms. I've implemented so many EdTech platforms. It felt like a natural pivot. And then listening to your podcast, I'm like, okay, I got to check this out. And as far as the portfolio, it is a lot of work, but it is job training. So when I was going through those motions, I think Angelica talked about this before. I was doing the assignments like a good student and getting all my things done and making my territory plan and, like making the blueprints. And then you were like, okay, but you have to make it your own. You need to really lean in and be yourself. And, um, it's fun. It's light. Like, hi, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here in the interviews. And that part was a little scary for me because we don't have experience with it. It's something you've never done, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. So a lot of what the program is teaching you is the belief that you will have a job. It's just a matter of time. Meant because we always, I think this is one of your activities, Jazmyne, is like when you make a decision, you don't commit all the way yet. There's resistance. So you make a decision but you're not like fully in it. So that happens. I think a lot of people talk about that in this community with, I want to get my portfolio done, but I have so much on my plate. And it's like avoidance. I'm such a
Mhm.
procrastinator. But I did have interviews and that really pushed me. Plus, I wasn't working at that time, which allowed me to heal a little bit of my burnout from teaching. But it also pushed me to move forward because I just really wanted the next step and I knew I could do it. It was just a matter of like going full send on the portfolio, presenting it, talking to people. And I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling. I forget what your question was.
No, you're telling us your journey. So,
Okay.
because how would you feel when I kept giving you that feedback? Because I will tell you, Kayla kept sending stuff. She was like, Jazmyne, she's like, I'm sending stuff, I'm sending stuff. And I kept giving her stuff back. She's like, but what? I am doing it. But she's like, no, I'll do it again. I'll do it again. I will
Yeah.
say, you just kept doing it again. So tell us about that part of you just kept doing it again. And then we'll go
Yeah.
to Tammy. But talk about that mental process because you kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it.
I think, I had just gone through a lot of the motions that everybody has to with interviewing, where you get the rejections, redirections. It really is a redirection because the jobs that I didn't get, this one turned out to be so much better. It was a better fit, better pay. But you do have to go through that. You have to go through a job that really wouldn't be right, maybe an interview that wasn't perfect and smooth. And then when it came to this one, where I knew I had to do an interview panel for the sales team, it honestly wasn't even that scary, but you were so good. It was, like, right before Christmas. I'm sending her videos. It was like I had it on Monday morning before Christmas, and she's like, "Do it again. Just be yourself. Just make it, like, smiley and fun and acting," and that's not as easy for me. So I was like, "Okay." I had a Christmas party. I'm like, all day, just like, "It's so nice to meet you." Walking around my house rehearsing. I was rehearsing out loud over and over again, just this is something I've already been doing in my EdTech portfolio. And it really does take like oral rehearsal.
Yeah.
And that was something I wasn't used to either. But you have done the job when you complete the portfolio and you've done the exercises, you've done the work that you will be doing in your role. And that's what's so amazing about the program. I wasn't lying. I was speaking to something that I did do, and I was researching the territory that I would then have. I use it. I use the work that I did in my portfolio for my job now. So
Yeah.
it worked out.
Yes. And
Yeah.
what Kayla's referring to, so it's one thing to like have to market yourself for the job, but like you actually have to practice doing it. Like y'all have like if you're going into a new career, you have to remind yourself you've never marketed yourself for this career ever before. Doesn't mean you can't do it. So it's like one thing of like, hey, I did do it. Again, the portfolio that Kayla's referring to is in this program. All it is like the top 10, 7 to 10 duties that you're going to be doing in the role. So it is the training. A lot of teachers are asking, "Oh, are they gonna train me in the new job?" No, they're not. They'll train you on the product, but if that, sometimes if that. So you have to come in ready. So that's one thing. It's like a lot of things is what I'm realizing that you have to learn. Tammy, you wanna chime in?
Yes. So going back to like leaving the classroom, I think one of the things that we're trained as teachers is that the natural next step is to go into being an instructional coach, which I know several people on this call did go into that, and then even in administration. But like leaving education, it's taboo almost. Like people never talk about that as part of an exit strategy, and so you're already kind of going, against the grain with that. But I will say, like, kind of going back to mindsets, whatever mindset like you have in that position, like it is your energy stays with you and your mindset stays with you no matter what the role is. And that's something that I learned, like being really overwhelmed and burned out in the classroom because I was doing, 20% when I shouldn't have been. When I got into my technology position, for the school district, it's like, okay, great, I'm not in the classroom, but I was still doing the same thing and I was still doing more than I needed to and getting burnt out. And then in my last position. And so I remember, going having my calls with you and some of the things that you were saying is like, okay, we really need to keep working on mindset. I'm like, yes, I know I'm going to get a job, but where is it? you know? And then at the same time, I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth. I'm like, oh, my job and I are just trying to find each other, which at the end of the day, I truly believe that's what it was. And I wish I would have been able to, I grew a lot through the process of, I think doing the work wasn't really the challenge for me. It's like I can lock in and hunker down, but it was the believing that I was going to get the job and then like internalizing that, okay, I can go into a corporate space. Like for some reason that seems really scary and big. And that my job is coming. Even in my, I think even during that transition, I remember talking to you. I was like, I wish that I would have handled it a little bit more gracefully. Like I was doing the work and I was saying the things, but it wasn't really sinking in. And so I know that I'm going to have more transitions in my lifetime. Like this isn't my forever role. And so like reflecting back when I'm so close to the process, it's like, how could I have relaxed a little bit more and believed the process and trust the process. And at the end of the day, like nothing is a guarantee.
Mm,
But we just have to make that decision to believe that it's going to happen. And I do believe like an energy, you're going to attract what it is that you're putting out. But I even found in my current role, I came in and I'm like, okay, let me do all these things. And I'm like, Tammy, what are you doing? This is like, you're just copy pasting. So I think even in my new role, I think we're always growing and learning and, how can I make myself better in every iteration and in every transition? So that was probably the biggest aha for me because I've had a few transitions, but doing the program and working with Jazmyne, that really it created a different level of reflection. And so I appreciate that. With our community, we talk a lot about things like that. So
Well
it's more
said.
than just the curriculum, and it's just the mind shift and like you change in the process. Pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, you're evolving, and the only thing that's guaranteed for teachers is continuing teaching. I feel like in education, we have a lot of validation of like, oh, I can get a job easily. Like a lot of teachers come to me, oh, I don't have an interviewing problem. I can get a job easily. But I'm like, baby, it's because it's an education, and they need the teachers. So it's like they have, and I say it in the most loving way, but you don't realize it until you leave. A lot of teachers have like this ego in a way because they are used to being the queen of the classroom. Like they do everything right in their class. They've gotten everything right in education. And when it comes to corporate, what Tammy was referring to is like it's not so straightforward. That you do have to put in some applications and wait. Like these are businesses, so they are posting jobs. You're gonna have to kind of wait till they get to you. First round, second round. I remember Kayla was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm like competing with the other people." I'm like, "Yeah, you are competing with the other people. That is what's happening." And I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like we've never had to fight for a job in education. If anything, they're fighting for us to stay and they try to keep us down. But like everyone was saying, it is taboo to leave teaching. But I want y'all to like the reason why I've been so excited about this episode is like how many more people y'all need me to bring on here to see that it is 100% possible for you to leave the classroom. Like it is possible for you. And I like what you also said, Tammy. Nothing is a guarantee. A lot of people are also concerned about layoffs, blah blah blah. No job is permanent. No job is permanent. However, from all my clients I've worked with, we're not getting laid off because y'all also know how to do the job, one thing. And then two, all of my clients also know how to get another job. So if you have not ever, and there's another thing of you all have that built the muscle of leaving a career. So y'all have left one. I realize a lot of teachers have not ever left a career ever. They've never left a career ever. They probably never left a relationship long term ever. So I understand like leaving feels like it's a lot. But it's I call it like like it's gonna be challenging and it's gonna be exciting. Okay? It's both. I'm gonna tag on people. Tierre. Tierre was an admin and Tierre doesn't know that. Y'all know that healing training work, that whole lesson that was built off of Tierre.
Thank
That
you,
was built off of
Tier. Thank you.
Tier.
It's
Thank you, girl. I needed that. Thank you.
still healing.
She don't even know. She didn't even know that lesson wasn't there. So, Tier, I'll give you a short snippet, but you can share. Tier was an admin, and like I said, I'll say it louder. Teaching is an abusive relationship, and I feel like we should say it more often so people can start seeing it. So she had been through some trauma like everyone has, and she was doing the, oh no, I'm not burned out. I'm fine. I'm not burned out. I'm okay. And I'm like, and I tell all y'all, if we don't heal that burnout, right, it's gonna show up somewhere else. And that's what happened. So you want to kind of give us a little of how you were able to overcome that? Because then after that, fast forward, she was, I don't know if I should accept this job offer. So, but let's talk about what you were doing right before then.
Yeah, so I was just going on like I had reached out timeline wise. I had started thinking about like transition of like what I was going to do come like January. The environment I was in was not conducive nor manageable for myself. So of course January, you start thinking there was a big thing that happened where I was at in April and we had like a lot of transition. So um it posed the question again. So I had reached out, I connected with my mom, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this program. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be able to do it while, I'm still working. And I was so bogged down just emotionally and mentally that it was like, I actually can't do this. Like I can't do two things at once. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna work this school year and I'm going to resign. So I did summer school July 1. I resigned and was like, I'm not gonna come back. So I'm gonna have to figure this out. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna submit applications. I'm gonna get a job. Wasn't even able to do that. So then I had to take a full break of like
Get
getting
her
my
stop.
together. Like I had
I
to
told her to
full
stop applying.
yeah, I had to stop applying because it was just like I was on a hamster wheel at that point. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop applying. And then I had the mindset of course I'm gonna get a job. Like it's not gonna be a thing. And I was doing the same thing and not realizing that I wasn't good still. So I ended up having I was in therapy as well, just because of everything that was going on. And I had to like get it out and off of me because I was still holding on to so many of the things of which were said and done to me that it was affecting my ability to actually be able to be successful in a new space. So I had to I had to write letters essentially.
Mhm.
And in that was where it was like I clearly was not detaching fully. And I had put so much of my identity into what I was doing because I had been doing it for so long. So it literally took a whole process of me like affirmations, praying, like you name it, I did it. And then even the idea of like, that's where I really started to understand time blocking and how we kind of like, oh no, I'm just going to sit here and do this for 6 hours straight. No, you're not. Like no one is able to do that in any way, shape, or form. So it was like, okay, these are the things I want my days to look like. I didn't have a job. So I had to start acting like I was in my new role prematurely. So it was like, this is my day to day. This is what it's going to look like. I'm not there yet. However, this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to connect with people on LinkedIn. I'm going to fill in applications. I'm going to take a walk, like go to the gym, do all those things in the meantime and really start developing the habit and the muscle. And even once I got into my role, of course, you start going super hard and you're like, okay, wait, no, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And I constantly have to remind myself. And, my managers are like, here, it's okay to take a day off. Like, you have something to do, take the time. Like, you work hard when you're here, be here, but also take time and fuel yourself. So it's been a journey, still a process. I mean, it's been a year and a half, which has been great, but it's it's a muscle that you have to continue to work. And every day I have to remind myself of the things that are true about my role, myself, and how I'm going to continue because I have quota. So now it's in a different way. However, I'm in a different place mentally to be able to handle and attack those things. So
Yes. If y'all don't see, there's like hearts and An exclamation. So Tierra did it. And I want more women thriving. I feel like education really is traumatic. Like I'm sure everyone has had their own version of trauma. And I want to invite you all, like, it is not okay. I'm sorry that anyone has ever had to deal with any type of trauma when it comes to education. But we no longer have to, like, suffer. Like, I want more of us thriving. I feel like as women, period, I feel like we are built to be tough and strong, but it's like, what does it look like for us to not have to be so tough? Like, what if it's okay for us to be soft? What if it's okay for us to have a soft life where we don't have to, like, struggle? Like, I want us to normalize the luxury of time, normalize the luxury of peace, all of that. Okay. Let's go to I'm gonna go to Angelica. Angelica's I'm calling Angelica the baby because she is the person where only been I think when we started working there, it's only been 3 years of teaching, but she was
Mhm.
just like, I signed up for teaching and I don't wanna be a veteran." She's like, "I don't wanna be like y'all. I don't wanna be a veteran teacher." And she did the work. She's like, "I don't even know what EdTech is. I don't know what sales, but Imma do," and then she learned it. And she did know more than she did because she's done sales before. But talk a little bit about your journey for the young I call them the young teeny boppers who are like, "I haven't seen all the trauma yet, but I've seen enough
Mhm.
to know I don't wanna be there."
Yeah, I think growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher. So it was like, this is going to be my career. I remember my siblings used to be like, "Are you sure you want to be a teacher?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." And I always wanted to make that impact. So that was just like my dream career. But once I got into it, I did my studies, I got my degree. I was like, what is this? This is not the dream, you know? And I remember I was very burnt out. I always wanted to, make an impact. I loved working with kids. And I remember I used to come home and I'm young and I'm tired and just like always exhausted. So I remember my boyfriend was like, "Yeah, there's more out there, right?" And I'm like, "Where? There's no jobs out there that we can do with this degree. Like, what are you talking about?" I didn't want to do just like any random job. I wanted a career. I wanted to be able to improve and excel in life. And I remember I was like, okay, whatever. I started looking like on TikTok. I started going on YouTube, seeing if there's anybody that left education, and there were some, but it wasn't like Jazmyne's, course and what she does. And I remember seeing TikTok, and I got Jazmyne's TikTok, and I'm like, "Oh, who's this girl?" Like she was like on a boat or something. And I messaged you, I remember, and yeah, I got introduced to you, and I started working with you, and it was like, wow, like there really is so much more out there than teaching. And yeah, I knew that I wanted more out of my life. I'm young. I wanted to grow in something that is gonna have an impact in education, but like something that, that I can live my life and still make an impact. So yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
difference is like hearing people who have successfully changed and left and made the transition and went through what you went through. I think that's what is the most motivating thing because a part of you, when you're making a career change, there is fear. No matter how talented or skilled you are, what you've accomplished, there is fear because it's new and you don't know what to expect and uncertainty. I think knowing that it can happen, it confirms beliefs that you may or may not have, and it can dispel the fear. So I think hearing the podcast like you, Angelica, I was like, "Oh my god, that is so true. She is so spot on." Like, and now she has this flexibility and freedom that we're lacking, still crushing it in her new role. So it is really inspiring to hear from someone on the other end after they've done it, because then you believe you can do it.
Mhm.
Yes. And if y'all everyone who did not have their individual podcast episode yet, we are getting to you. We just have 30 plus interviews to get to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 30 plus people. And I want y'all to also, this is not just a course. Y'all did not just get no little course and y'all got y'all thing by yourself. Y'all got course and hard coaching. Lauren, I'm gonna call you to the floor. Me and Lauren were fighting when she was doing her interviews. She's like, what do you want me to say? What do you mean this? Talk about the fight that had to happen because it was not just a course. So they're referring to the whole program. There is curriculum. I am a teacher. There is curriculum, and I do expect you to watch curriculum. There's a video for everything. Then Kayla was like, you have everything in here. Lauren, talk about the fighting.
Yeah, so the first thing is you do have to learn the role. When I first started this program, I went through the curriculum, and prior to this program, I was not making it past the phone screening. My first interview with Jazmyne's curriculum, I made it to the final rounds, my first interview. So learning the job is a big part of it, but the part where I was falling short was personality. Like every coaching call I had with Jazmyne or whatever, I would record my interviews and send it to her. Her feedback was always, you know what you're talking about, you have the right answer, but you don't sound like Lauren. I don't see Lauren. I don't hear Lauren. I just hear you saying the right answer. So my main breakthrough was when she told me, you need to get to know yourself. Like you need to write down 10 things that you like just about Lauren, 10 fun facts about you. So that way you have things to pull from in the interview. And one of my main reasonings for joining this program was wanting to get to know myself outside of being a teacher, because I feel like when you're a teacher, you're mommy, your nurse, your counselor, like you're everything to everybody else, but you just don't have the time and energy to be anything to yourself. So once I learned myself and I learned like the movies that I like and what I like to do and different fun facts about myself, it just really changed the game for me in my interviews because I truly felt like I was just having a conversation, and it took away that pressure of it feeling so high stakes.
Yes. So you were like, I knew that you were like, "Rah," but you did it. You were like, okay, I'm
I
gonna
didn't know
do.
what she meant by personality. I'm like, what do you want me to tell these
Yeah,
people?
'cause you
I
never
know
had to
she's
do that in
so
teaching.
excited for the job.
You never had to do like, what are you talking about, girl? Why do I gotta bring my hair? I'm like, because
But it makes sense because you're working a customer facing role. So they want to see how you're going to interact with their clients as well.
exactly. Jasmine.
Just want to piggyback off what Lauren said because honestly, in the job offer I landed and said yes to, the recruiter, I remember she told me that. She was like, I just want you to know, back to what Kayla said too, there's a lot of other candidates that have a lot more experience than you. And I was like, why are you telling me this? I was like, okay. And this is prior to the final round. She's like, but they just really like your personality. They like your experience. And then I remember, and this was like right after my breakthrough. And so I was just like, oh my God, it really is me. I can do like, it was like, oh, me, oh, they like me. Okay, that's like it, like, and it's. I'm think I'm gonna tell you that, Jasmine, and you're like, told you, be you. And so it's the course itself. Yes, it helps you hear your burnout, which you cannot do. Like you cannot go further until you hear that burnout, or at least separate it from the process. But it also just building you into a different person, and so it is going to be hard and challenging. But the you on the other side of that, when you do get out of the cloud that is being in the district and the education, it's a whole different world, and you see yourself in a different light. Like Lauren just said, she had a list of things that she didn't. I don't even know myself because I'm so tired to work all the time. You have no. I couldn't even read a book outside of work. It took me 8 years to read a book again. That is
Mm,
ridiculous.
mm.
I loved reading as a kid. Guess what, y'all? I read books now. So like, it's just it's different, and it's going through that course is so helpful, and the mindset is. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Tier, but like that was my favorite part of the whole course. Honestly, I still use those things today. I'm not kidding. Mindset challenge, talking to myself, saying,
Yes.
"Ah, friends."
Yeah,
So I'm sorry.
Tierra
Letter
built
to
that
Your Future
course.
Self. I loved that one because I
Letter
read
from a
it.
future self. Yeah, so literally and this training is free if y'all are on my email list, the heal lesson, but you're writing a letter from your future self. You're breaking up with your teaching self. Like you write letters to whoever needs to hear out of your mouth. You're forgiving yourself. Like it's not like you did anything wrong, but like sometimes people have this like guilt, like, oh, I put all this money into my degrees. I've been teaching for this long. No, but my kids, I don't want to leave them in the middle of the year. But it's like I tell the military, when someone leaves the military, they don't say, wow, people still need to defend our country. They don't do that. But teachers, I've seen it happen. I've seen people give teachers like the ultimate side eye for leaving their position. But those people don't even want to watch their own kids. I'll stay there. I'll leave it there. Tammy?
Yeah, so I would like to say, like, the time that we spent teaching and that, teachers are in right now, like, that was, I think it might be easy to think, like, oh, I should have gotten where I'm going faster. But that experience, like, that is really our superpower. And no matter what job we are trying to go into, what role, whether it's, customer success or sales, because we have learned how to translate ideas and concepts to somebody that maybe is really resistant, and delivering information in a way that they can really understand it. So whether you're trying to sell something to, a product that's really going to benefit a school district, to a superintendent in a way that he understands it and what he needs to hear, right? Like those skills are so transferable. So leaving, you're still going, you're still helping a lot of people, and the time that you spent was worthwhile. But it doesn't mean that you have to stay doing that over and over and over.
Mhm. Yeah. It
Can I
works. Go
go
ahead,
ahead?
Jasmine.
This just had me think about how teachers and educators, no matter what level you're in, you have to pivot every day in the moment, strategic questioning, no matter what kind of situation it is. That's literally what makes us good in these roles, is because we can do that better than probably other people because you've never had to be in those moments, and then add kids on top of that. Like, I was thinking about that on a call this week. I was like, I was able to ask these crazy questions because I'm just used to pivoting in the moment and being like, wait, tell me more about that. Or
Yeah.
just diving deeper. And it's more natural than you think it is once you get into it.
Listen, I tell people, and I tell this story before, teaching is harder than this business that I run. Like, I was other friend I have, she went nonprofit, was a teacher. Teaching is harder. Like, I would rather, like, could I always go back to the classroom? Yes, but I'm like, I'd rather not. I will sit here and I'll figure out how to sell, like, how to sell my business. And what I also wanna, um I'll say my thing, and then I'm gonna open the floor to anything that you all wanna share to maybe your, I don't wanna say your old self, but maybe the version of you who, when you first were like, "Okay, I wanna leave the classroom, but," like, think about all those teachers who are, they wanna leave, but there's that big old but, and, like, anything you wanna say to them. But I would say just for me being able to leave the classroom was also scary. Like, when even though I was talking cash money, like, "I'm outta here. I'm done." On the last day, I still cried. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm leaving this profession." But as soon as I started, I'm like, "Wow, I get to like, I do get to still use my teaching experience. I do get to still serve. I still get to do this." Like, who lied? Like, there are more, like, I feel like they would not add EdTech as a career path because nobody would go in the classroom. That's one thing. But, like, I feel like me going into sales has truly been the reason why I've been able to succeed in my business with teaching compared. Like, all I do, I feel like, is teach, and I know how to sell. Like, I teach and I know how to sell, but I learned how to sell from education. Like, I was a discipline dean. So all I did was talk to people every day, talk to kids, parents all day, parents coming in yelling at me. By the end, my best friend. Like, we really had a lot of decisions to make as teachers, and I'm grateful for it. I don't want anyone also to think that their teaching experience is going to waste. I'm not throwing dirt on the teaching profession itself. I feel like people do need teachers, but I do believe, and everyone could be like agree on this, teachers deserve more pay. They deserve more than what they're getting. I don't know if there's ever going to be a big change of what we want. I know some school districts pay teachers well, but I've also seen teachers get paid really well and still not be happy. So I guess the best thing that I've ever done for myself was leave and go and find better. Because once you get a taste of better, you don't wanna go back to the other side. Like, you don't want to. It's kinda like I'm a little bougier than y'all right now, but I get to my little first class, I'm like, "I don't, y'all gonna be sitting back. I can't go to the lounge." What? But once you get a taste, y'all get into that if y'all not already. I know Tierra be out up in places, but I just want you to know it's okay. It's like 2 things can be true. You can be sad about leaving, but also excited, and I've only seen my clients flourish after. So this gonna be the last go around. Whatever we want to say to the teacher girl, we're gonna let everyone say whatever you feel compelled to share. Whoever wants to go first. Talk to the woman who is, think about who you were when you were first thinking about leaving and who you are now, and just imagine someone getting in the way of you right now. Like, I was talking to Lauren right before this. where I was like, I didn't even want to be a teacher coach. I was like, I want to teach confidence. And my coach was like, mm-mm. She's like, that don't pay the bills. And I was like, but teacher, I don't know if I want to help teachers. I mean, I do post on TikTok and people follow me. I mean, I do, but, and then look at me now. So like, imagine for that teacher who like, you have that little voice, like you are supposed to be doing more. Like, if you have that voice. So who wants to go first? Okay, Lauren.
So, my main piece of advice would be you really have to cut out the noise. Like, there's going to be people that may not be supportive of what you're trying to do. Like, I still to this day have people who are skeptical of what it is that I'm doing, but you just have to know, like, the evidence is right here in front of you. Like, people are doing this every day. People are leaving the classroom every day. People are making that tough decision for themselves every day. And I was just telling somebody earlier today, like, I really feel like leaving the classroom was the best decision that I ever made for myself. I've lost 15 pounds in like a month since leaving the classroom. I now do things on weekdays that I would have never done if I was still in the classroom. Like, I'm going out with friends. I have all the energy. Like, I'm learning new hobbies. I know what I like now. I have like 4 trips planned for the rest of the year. I never would have been able to do that in the classroom because I would have been looking at my calendar like, oh, this is testing season, or oh, this is back to school season. So overall, like, I really do feel like my life has done a complete 180. And if I didn't get to the point of cutting out that noise, I don't know if I would be in the place that I am today.
And by the way, Lauren was saying she didn't have a personality and she had a whole bunny in her house. I'm like, talk about your bunny, girl. I'm like, what? She had a whole
Valid.
bunny in her house. I'm like, I
It's
would talk
like,
about that
yeah,
bunny
you need to just
every
throw
day.
that out there in the interview.
I would have had the bunny. Oh, sorry, that was my bunny girl. I would have used that. I would have burned that to the ground. Thank you, Lauren, for sharing. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's how I was like, Lauren, you look slim. You slimming. And this is just leaving the classroom. Leaving the classroom. Who going next?
I was about to go. I wanted to piggyback off of Lauren's what she said because I feel like it relates. My biggest thing is for me, I felt like I didn't realize I intertwined who I was, who Jasmine was with my career. There was no, like, I had some things I did outside of work that I liked, right? But my career was my life. Like that, I put so much into it. And so for anybody thinking about leaving or asking it and questioning it, like, and that's your reason, like, it's okay to separate the two. You're allowed to have a career and a life outside of your career that's also equally as fulfilling.
Mm.
And that's so important. And you are allowed to have it, and it is the way to get it. So that's my biggest piece. I think that was why I love things so much now. I have hobbies again. I have another gig that I'm doing now that I actually like a lot that doesn't feel like work. I'm working a second job, but it's not a job to me. So I love it.
You
Yeah,
talk
you're
about
allowed
the
to have,
time you working with me?
yeah.
Oh, yes. By the way, if y'all listening, Jazmyne is my client success coach. So you get double the Jazmynes, Jazmyne and Jazmyne in Teachers in Tech. That's the name of the new program, y'all. Isn't it cute? I know. All right, who's next? Kayla?
I can go. I fully 100,000% agree with what was just stated by Lauren and Jazmyne. And just to echo what she said is there's so many parts of ourselves that deserve recognition, and um you don't only have to be a teacher. I know it is a big identity shift because you make such a huge difference, but there's other ways to do that, and you're always going to be a teacher. You don't need to be a martyr, and you don't need to suffer because you only live one life and it's short. So, there's so many chapters, and you deserve to put yourself first and do what makes you happy. And if it's no longer bringing you joy or fulfilling you, it's never too late to start over. Um, and yeah, life is full of transitions. So, like, it's going to be okay and you'll be okay. It takes a little time to settle, but like, similar to them, I went to Miami for a school event and then I could work remote from Florida. never in my life would I even like your personal days, people wouldn't even take their personal days. And I'm like, what? So anyway, I think things have significantly improved and yeah, I just think that there's so many transferable skills you don't even realize that you have. Um, anyone that is a teacher is talented and you can put that energy into somewhere else, well, where you'll also shine. So, good luck to
Love
everybody.
it. Angelica, were you raising your hand?
I don't know. I was putting the
Talk
emojis
to the
on.
teeny boppers.
The biggest thing I would say is that, like Kayla said, that all your skills are transferable. And it's never too late to start over. I'm young and I'm happy that I made the jump. I don't want to be, you know, doing what everybody else is doing, and it's worth it. It's worth the work you put in. It's worth the mindset that you get working with Jazmyne. I'm really happy that I got to be on this path with her because I don't think my life would have been the same the way it is now. I have more time for myself. I'm a lot happier and I'm excited for what's to come in the future. So, yeah, definitely it's worth it.
Yay. Who's next?
Can go. Um, Honestly, mimicking what everyone said, but two things can be true. You are allowed to love education and transition into another sector of education because not everything looks the same. So your experience is like step one, and there's so many needs that are necessary because these things are going to remain the same. And it's important that the people who are directing materials have firsthand experience. So there's a need, very much so, and perspective that's very valued, experience that's valued, and it's valued on both sides because the companies of course appreciate it, but also districts appreciate it, where they're able to say that like you have firsthand experience because you know the mindset of a teacher, you know the things that you could predict blind spots. So there's a need on both ends, and the quality of life that you'll be able to achieve of being able to identify your hobbies, the ability to support your families in ways that you just don't have the capacity to do right now, really is transformative, and it can create and change things for like bloodlines. So those are just some ideas of how to help shift your mindset, and shifting it to say that like two things can be true is the biggest thing that I remind myself to keep me going.
Can you speak a little bit, Tiara, before we wrap up? Like the teachers who are like, okay, I hear all this, but the quota, but all that, that just sounds so stressful. Can you just talk a little bit about, because my answer is it's still more stressful to be in that classroom with them students. This is like different type of stress. It's like champagne problems. So at the end of the day, it's with sales, it's sending some emails, it's talking to people, it's researching, that's what it is. That's my answer. But like that's one of like the biggest objections I get when it comes to sales. Like, oh, I have a quota, I have all this. And it says you've been doing this for a year and a half and you didn't raise your hand to go back to the classroom. Like, what do you have to say to that teacher who's like using that as a reason of, oh, I don't want to go in?
The quota is one piece of your job. So like yes, the quota is important, but it's you are more than your quota. And a lot of times in education, we get stuck to our kids' test scores, and that becomes our identity, where the quota doesn't have to become your identity. Because there are other factors right now in this economy. There's a lot of things that are going on, but it's also the long game. So you're building relationships with people, and the in education, we know in the school building, it's a roller coaster ride. It's a roller coaster ride as well. So one quarter could look crazy, the next quarter might not. But you are able to go out, bang down doors, find new opportunities. There's not always grants, but you are able to find the grants. You are able to write the grants. You are able to think through opportunities in the grant that people might just not know about. So example would be like, there's a grant that's coming up. Hey, let's put in some funds so that teachers can have subs so that they could get a day away to be trained. You could pay substitute teachers, but those are just things that not everyone is thinking about. But as an educator, as a school leader, you have those insights. And then when you're talking to people, it's like, oh, she might actually, you build a relationship. And then as the money comes open, next thing you know, you have an expansion opportunity. So it might not look great at the beginning, but you are not that quota, you are not that number. And it's always going to come in ebbs and flows.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Tammy, and Tammy, when you answer, I also want you to talk a little bit more about how, again, even though you were a music educator and you went into music at a company, you still sold your skills. I tell everybody that when you get your job offer, you're talking about playbooks. Like Tammy was selling her skills. She was selling the ice in Antarctica. I was like, wow, I need some of Tammy's ice. So talk to, again, the educators who are scared, but also like, what you were willing to do. And I know you said you would okay, the work, I'm doing it, but just like, yeah, whatever comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, I think, like, whenever I was selling my skills, one of the thing and I think we do this all the time as teachers, is, like, we really listen to what they are saying and sometimes reading in between the lines and listening to what's coming in and pairing it with, "Okay, I how can I, like, take my experience and apply it to what they need in their situation?" And so everything that they were giving me, I was the solution. "Oh, well, you're asking if I think one of the question was, okay, if I were to give you 3,000 clients, on your first day, which I didn't get on my first day, I got on, my 15th day. Um, but it's like, what would you do? And it's like, well, it's like, I would segment them out, according to, usage and, book of business size and all these different things. But it was really things that we also do in the classroom, like not every classroom, every student is exactly the same. So we're differentiating, right? So I brought that into it. And funny, one of the questions was, it's like, oh, you used to be a customer of this product, but you said that you discontinued it. What are we doing wrong? I was like, oh, I got to be really careful with this question. What would you do to change that in the future? And it was like, well, number one, like as a customer, nobody ever reached out to me. And so
Mhm,
I didn't feel like I was valued.
mhm,
And so it was okay for me to let my subscription, lapse. And then I think number two is like, I didn't know where to go for help.
mm,
So yeah, I was just selling, just taking all of my experience and like just translating it into what it is that they needed to hear. But like, it was not at all really about the music aspect. It was about dealing with people and relationships and solving problems. And that's really what I focused on and like strategy. Like, okay, and that's what we do. That is what problem solving is. Um, so yeah, I was really excited. My second interview, I think you may have shared this on your podcast. They said, "You're the unicorn that we've been looking for." And it was like,
yes,
"Oh."
yeah. But I
He's like, "Can
remember
you"
Tammy saying, like, I just want because I know a lot of teachers do this. They find a company and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is what I've been working with since I was a kid," or I really, really love this platform. I'm so passionate about this program. But it's like, that's cute, but they're looking to hire a CSM or a EdTech sales consultant. So like you gotta show up for that. And that's like the skills that we really do work on together in the program of like, okay, like how can you sell your skills for this role? They want you to hire you for this position, not your current position, not your passion for education. I know it's like more challenging, especially for like leaders. I know here, like being an AP, everything is around student proficiency. But y'all, if y'all listen to me enough, I say students are Bruno. We don't talk about them. Like Tammy really sold herself in that right way. So Tammy, what do you say to? Because you can even speak to the teachers who've been in education for a long time, who are like me, where we're like, what do you have to say to the ones who are scared? They're like, "Oh, I just don't know. I don't know."
I mean, yeah, I think, when you're a young teacher, I remember there was this one school I worked at that they would have the beginning of the year, every teacher like get in a circle according to how long you've been in education. Like as a little baby teacher, I would see somebody on that and it's like, oh my gosh, they've been here 30 years. Like that's where I'm supposed to go. That's my goal. And by the time I got to 7, I'm like, how am I here? And then by the time I got to 15, I'm like, oh my God, do I want to be here anymore? But I think, even in this role, and I think any role, like what is it that you envision for your life? How do you wanna feel every day? Um, I felt like a bad friend at times because I wasn't really able to be friends with people unless it was summer or if it was an extended break because I was so tapped out. If it was Sunday, absolutely not, I'm not gonna do anything. Like, I'm gonna be lesson planning and, is that is that really what you want for your life? And if the answer is yes, then, great, go for it. But I think we kind of get caught in this trap because we see, everybody else is doing this, so this is what we're supposed to be doing, right? But at the end of the day, we are just people on this earth for a limited amount of time, and what do we want out of it? It's like I don't want high blood pressure and I don't want to have my heart racing all the time. If my principal is sending me an email, I need to see you at the end of the day type thing. Oh, they just put 15 more kids in my class. Cool. It's like, no, I want to feel calm, but I still have to keep checking myself even in my current position. Again, it comes back to like your energy and your mindset and what you want for your life is going to follow you anywhere. So it's like, I want a calm life. I want a life where I can go outside, I can see outside, first of all, and I can go and walk around my block for like 10 or 15 minutes and let the sun hit me. That's what I want in my life right now. So that's, that's, that's the choice that I made. And yeah. I mean, just think about what is it that you really want? Is it serving you or are you serving them?
Yeah, I love that. So I feel like someone had asked me on a I did a podcast with someone else, and they said, "Oh, how were you able to identify who you were outside of the classroom?" But for me, I'll be honest, I've always known who I was outside of the classroom. I think that's my biggest advantage. Like, I just knew that I'd be traveling outside. I remember I would miss open house to go see Beyoncé, and I put a sign, I was like, "Yeah, at Beyoncé's concert. I'm not available at open house. I'm so sorry. Kids, do not talk to me. I'm buying my concert ticket." So I feel like this is a great opportunity, like Tammy said. Like, what do you want your life to be? If you want to be a teacher for the rest of your life, skip this episode. This isn't for you. But if you have even the thought, the idea of I want to live a life where I'm doing this, doing that, then we just do the work to get there. We just do the work to get there. Let me close out. I know me working in sales, I love traveling. I did burn out like to here in the beginning. Like I remember one week I was in New York, New Orleans, Puerto Rico for fun travel, and then I was in Jackson, Mississippi, and then I was in Minneapolis. I went to Indianapolis last month, and I thought that I went to Indianapolis before, but it was Minneapolis. That's how many places that I've been to. So I feel like just closing out any last things of perks outside the classroom. I had Marriott Platinum with the points, steak dinners every time I went out on the company at the per diem, whatever the per diem is, max me out. I'll have the steak, I'll have the wine, I'll have everything. Any last things y'all want to share of the perks? Because I feel like that is what we're doing it for. Like I always tell everybody, I work hard so I can have the express passes, so I can continue traveling. What are any last thing y'all want to say about the perks of like, this is what we used to do that I would have never had to do as a teacher? Last little things.
I think
I'm
just
gonna
the
say PTO.
flexibility. Oh,
We'll do
sorry.
Kayla and then
I think the flexibility is huge. Like I'm remote and I do travel for sales, but like I said, I went to Miami and then, my boss let me use the rental car to drive to my grandmother's home and stay for the week. And like I didn't take any days off. I didn't take vacation. That I was like working. And it's funny when I first started, I don't know like who's gonna hear this episode, but I'm like, I feel like I'm not working. Like, I feel
No.
like I'm, like, not doing anything. I'm, like, I'm sending a million emails, I'm researching, I'm, like, putting together my territory plan, I'm making calls, but now it's, like, 10 AM, and I could walk my dog, and it's just crazy. It's something that I never experienced as a teacher. I mean, you can't even go to the bathroom. Like you can't send a personal email. You can't even call a doctor to make a doctor's appointment. Like it's just wild what people who work in schools and that are working in a classroom go through. I always say like teachers should wear body cams because it's just nuts what you do in a day. And I think yeah, anything like what Jazmyne says, anything is easier than teaching. That's not to say there aren't challenges or problems, but like if you've worked in a class with kids, you could do anything. You could do anything. So
quite literally. Lauren, Miss I lost 15 pounds.
Yes. So definitely piggybacking off of what Kayla said, like the flexibility in your schedule. I don't feel like I have to like plan my life around my job anymore. I feel like it's the other way around. So that flexibility has definitely been a big perk as well as the unlimited PTO. And then like you can bring your laptop anywhere with most remote roles. So you also don't have that micromanagement of like somebody clocking every single thing you do. Like as long as you get your work done, you're good to go. So overall, just having like more freedom and more flexibility to do the things that I enjoy, and just really just living my life.
Yeah. And Kayla, the thing is, it's education just was traumatic. Like we just thought we had to be doing anything. So like you were doing work. It's just like compared to teaching, it is. I always say it's 50% less work than teaching. Like all of this stuff. Like even if you have a quota, all these things, it's 50% less work. Tammy.
Because you have silence. You're working in like silence and peace.
Oh yeah. I love silence. I love silence.
Me too. I can
Love
hear the
si-
birds.
exactly. I don't even like birds, but I want to hear them chirp. I'd rather hear them chirp than to hear Miss Mitchell, Miss Mitchell. I want to hear
Mhm.
that. I want to hear it. Tammy.
Yeah, so I'm 30 days today into my new job. So I'm just enjoying like the really little things. Like I have a friend that's like, "Hey, can we go grab lunch?" And it's like, "Yeah, I can take an hour for lunch." Or my dentist calls and says, "We had this opening. Can you come in today?" And I'm like, "Sure, no problem." I shared this right before the call with everybody that was here. I was talking with one of my teacher friends, and she was like, "Oh, so you're traveling for work next week?" She's like, "How are you going to do your Uber and your hotel and everything like that?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna use my company credit card." And she's like, "That's how I know you're not a teacher anymore." She's like, "You don't pay for it yourself and then wait 2 months to get reimbursed." So yeah, that and then the fact that like I haven't had to wear regular pants in a month. I wear yoga pants or shorts at work and, I'm just dressed dressed for work from the waist up. Yeah, remote work has ruined pants for me, just
I
saying.
love it. Any last words? Any last words? I have to check my door, so someone say something.
That really just happened. Well, I will say the one thing is I am so thankful to be on this call with you ladies. Y'all are an inspiration. I will say it again, Tier. I am so sorry you went through what you went through. But like those, I still have a letter. I rewrote that letter to myself and just reworded it to be my current role now. Like I'm not kidding. I read it every morning. So
I love those exercises too. So thank you, Tiara.
my favorite. They're my favorite.
Mhm.
You've inspired a whole generation of future EdTech baddies.
You didn't
Yes.
even know. I told her, I was like, yeah. I was like, you're one of my case studies on healing burnout.
Was she the podcast you told me to go listen to? Was that podcast? Are you one? Is she one of the ones at the beginning?
Maybe it was because I'm telling you,
Oh,
that's when I learned, we are addressing this burnout. Because see, I was like, oh, I'm not burnt out. I'm not burnt out. And then it came out later. I was like, okay, thanks here. But I want to thank all of y'all ladies for being here. I had sent the email out and they're like, yes, 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 yes. Again, stay tuned for all the individual podcasts. They are coming. Again, I have a champagne problem of having so many people getting jobs that I just have to do it, week by week. So I'm just so grateful that you all even trusted me to be your coach to get you into these roles. I know y'all had moments where like, why is she making me do this? I don't want to do this. But now you're on the other side. Um, yeah, y'all just changed so many lives. Like this, I have not seen this done. Just a community of women who have gone into so we have customer success and sales, but just like even having a lot of like sales leading women happy here customer success. Again, I think customer success is a little bit more challenging. That's why, like for me, I started off in sales, went to customer success, and then I was like, wait, all I have to do is get them to say yes the first time. Like, get me out of this customer success. So I'm like, I don't want to keep dealing with these people. But again, sales has its own challenge. But either way, I love that for all you all, you have the ability to go to both. I know Angelica, she's looking through different ones. Everyone's like looking, okay, Joe, I want to go sales customer success, you have the option. Like they have options. This is what it's like to be layoff proof. This is what it's like to be able to sell your skills outside of just being a teacher. So now they don't just have teaching on their belt, they also have this career. So a lot of teachers are afraid of leaving the classroom and going into this job market. But I always tell them, I feel like it's unsafe for you to only have your teaching license and only know how to teach. It's like a one trick pony in a loving way. And I'm not saying it in a mean way. I'm just saying it in a way for y'all to understand and see that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are teachers who are leaving. Like, you do have the support available. Start with the podcast. A lot of them start with the podcast. I know for sure Angelica, Kayla, Jazmyne, they had questions for me. They were like, okay, but this, but that, but this. And I said, this, that. They're like, okay, fine. They were like, okay, fine. And then they did it. They did it. So thank you all so much. We've changed lives, and I will see you all on your individual podcast episodes. I'll see y'all also still in the calls. So I'm still having the open EdTech customer success and sales. So y'all, not only do I help you get your job, but you come in here and you can get questions on your new job as well in teachers and tech. So make sure y'all check the show notes for all the information. If you're watching this in real time, there's a training happening May 7th, 6:15 p.m. Eastern, Thursday. Be there or be square. Be there or be in a classroom for another year, unless you want to do that. Unless you want to do that. But yeah, thank you, ladies.
Thank you for helping us
you.
see it and believe it.
Thank
So nice
you.
meeting you guys.